So, diving right into part two of signs that you're running in your masculine for the ladies in our audience. The first one on this list is that we resist help. That help used to come with either strings or conditions. And that created more trouble, judgment, consternation. So we decided it's just easier not to ask for help, which increases our overwhelm and our exhaustion and our anger and frustration and ultimately resentment. Because curiously enough, even though we don't ask for help, we begin to resent those who don't help us.
Yeah.
We do. We do, which goes into the liver and in the gallbladder. And then we have gallbladder issues because we've housed all that resentment right in there. And then we have all kinds of digestive issues. Even if people offer help, or want to do it rather in kindness or whatever, because we like to help, right? We won't do it because we fear that it'll come with some sort of condition or obligation. And also, which we'll get into in 2 and 3, um we have this judgment that they're probably not going to do it the way we do it. And so then we're gonna have to fix it, so why bother? uh, However, there are opportunities to, and the notes on this one were the needs love that's consistent and free of conditions. Yes, but I also think grace comes before that. And just the idea that, as I mentioned this in previous conversations, is I used to yell at the kids for not loading the dishwasher properly. And then they just stopped loading the dishwasher because they didn't want to be yelled at. When I could have just said to them one of two things. I could have said, well, here's how I want you to load the dishwasher. And then I could have held them to that standard. Or number two, because I was already exhausted and overwhelmed and didn't want to have to do one more thing, I was like, just load them all. Make sure they get washed. And that really was it. Load them all, make sure they get washed, put them away.
Mhm.
The grace piece of that was it's okay that they don't do it the way that I do it. And the help doesn't have any strings or conditions because we don't have any expectations on it other than, are the dishes clean?
I think, at least for me, I know that I can give very explicit instructions on how to do something. Dinner last night was a great example. Should have taken maybe 10 minutes. 45 minutes later, it was exactly not what I asked for at all. And I could have just done it myself, but I also am aware that sometimes incompetence is weaponized so that we don't ask people to do things for us in the future. Because if we think that they can't do it, why bother? Right.
Right. Right.
So I have had to learn to just accept that weaponized incompetence and eat it anyway, but also not be quiet about it and say, hey, I understand that I gave you very explicit instructions and you did not follow them. I just want to let you know that I saw what you did there.
Right.
And it's been a conversation that has happened multiple times for me personally. So sometimes you have to be um, I 100% agree that you have to give grace where grace is due. I mean, heaven's sakes, not everyone is going to do everything exactly the way you do it, and that's totally okay as long as it gets done. But if it
Right.
gets done poorly, intentionally, then you have to be willing to stand up for yourself and set a boundary and say, no, I'm not going to accept that kind of behavior again. We're going to try again and do it right this time and still be able to give that grace, but in also continuing to honor yourself and your own needs and not feel like you have to still put yourself out to make someone else feel more comfortable
Right.
when they can't be bothered to do the same for you.
Yeah. And this is where confidence and boundaries come in. Uh and most women are so stressed and overwhelmed and exhausted. They don't want to step into the boundary and enforce it. But that weaponized incompetence starts when kids are young, and now we see it in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
we see it broadly in the workforce. We see all these kids who are like, I can't work more than 12 hours a week. I'm so exhausted. Like, what? I work 70 hours a week for 20 years.
Yeah.
You can work far more. And so, and I'm not trying to apply shame or guilt onto anyone. I want these women to recognize that your exhaustion and avoidance is creating more trouble for you, and it will carry out into the world. And I do still feel as parents, our job is to mold to a certain extent as good a humans as we can as they enter adulthood. And the generation of exhausted women, life is very complicated now. We don't know how to calm our nervous systems. We have believed that we don't have the right to take care of ourselves. So we say, I don't have time. That's often, right? We overbook in order to compensate. We overbook in order to look a certain way in the world. And so, because we do not hold those boundaries when people are at a certain phase, then there are no boundaries. And then they go out into the world and they are not productive members of society.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying they have to go to college, none of that. I'm saying that because my husband always held a very hard line. And I used to get upset with him that he held such a hard line because I think sometimes it was a little too much. And then I tried to balance with more gentle, instructional as I healed, because for a while I was also the angry screamer. Um, the result is now we have a 24 and 27-year old. Our 27-year old is incredibly hardworking. He works for a commercial excavation company in pipe laying. They love him. They're giving him raises. He's one of the best crew members they've got. He's dedicated to the job. He doesn't miss work. He is all of those things out in his chosen profession. And I think, okay, so having those boundaries and being somewhat rigid with those boundaries has benefited them greatly, versus what I see is learned learned incompetence and learned
Hmm.
helplessness.
Yes.
Because then you have the mothers, the hover mothers, who do everything for their kids.
Hmm.
I saw a video of a 21-year-old girl today who clipped a police car with her car and drove off to her house. The police followed her. They catch her with a chunk of her car in her hand that had fallen off and ask her questions. And she keeps going, Dad, can you help me? She's 21. Dad, can you tell them what they're I can't answer them. And the officer's like, no, don't ask your dad. You tell me what your birth date is. Like, it's simple questions. And then they said, you're being arrested for fleeing the scene of an accident. And the meltdown, Daddy, stop them. Daddy, can you help me? Daddy, tell them no, I didn't do anything wrong. Like a 6-year-old. And I have seen more than one of these videos of these. And granted, getting into an accident's a hard thing. Admitting you did something wrong is a hard thing. Those are not getting arrested. It's a hard thing, but it's all what it is to be an adult. She's
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
Daddy, can you help me? Dad's like standing there going, but did dad or mom provide structure?
Mm.
Or was everybody just so overwhelmed that they just went, oh, forget it. I don't have time or energy for all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, out of that asking for help, we get relief and reprieve.
Hmm.
But to your point, we have to have standards.
We do. We absolutely do.
It's the
There's a
flow.
balance.
Yeah, it's the flow. The masculine is the structure, and then you flow within the structure. So I need you to load the dishwasher. I want all of the dishes in there and I want them clean. That's the structure. How you do it, I don't care. If you don't do it right after school, you do it closer to dinner time. I don't care about that either. I care that it gets done and the dishes are clean and I'm not coming home to a sink full of dishes. That's still a boundary. It's still an expectation, which is probably what they're going to get in the work world. Or if they decide to start a business, they have to be the structure for all of that. But the flow within it, that's the feminine.
Mm.
Yeah. Needs love that's consistent and free of conditions. I don't know. I don't agree with the free of conditions part of it. Love that's consistent and love that has expectations that are mm,
Nurturing.
nurturing. It's a great word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that oftentimes we get into relationship and as women, we tend to, and this is not all women, obviously, but generally, in my experience, most women are looking at caring for their partner more than they care for themselves. And also the children, the family, the home, whatever. It's just our nature to just naturally pick up and start taking care of the things that need to be done.
Right.
And I think sometimes we kind of condition those around us to just assume that we're going to do it
Right.
when we have to have this understanding that there is a partnership, right? And we have to be willing to be cared for as much as we care for others. And sometimes we
Great.
kind of lose that balance early in the beginning, and we think we're doing great and we're doing all the things we're supposed to be doing, and in the long run we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot.
Right. Absolutely. So this goes to point number two, feel safe in control. The lesson is letting go terrifies them because trust has been broken. And that all doing came from judgment. So, what I meant by this note is I'll go back to the dishes thing. I asked them to load the dishes. They did load the dishes. I didn't give any more expectation than that. I didn't give any more instruction than that. Just load the dishwasher and start it and run it, right? Now, I, in my head, had expectations and I wanted it done a certain way, etc., none of which was communicated. And then when it wasn't done right, I got mad at them. I got mad at the kids for not doing what I had not communicated to them. I hadn't set up those expectations. And so in my mind, I couldn't let them do the dishes because they weren't going to do it right. Trust was broken there. But in reality, trust wasn't broken there because they did what I asked them to do, load the dishwasher and run it. If I'd have said plates on the bottom, bowls on the top, silverware face down, a couple of instructions, and they did it mostly, I could give them some grace. If they didn't do it at all, I could say, why didn't you do it this way? And if it worked out okay, I can either say, that's fine, do it your way, or hey, I really want the silverware down because I don't want your fingers on my clean silverware. It's a reasonable expectation. But if doing comes with judgment, hey, I need you to vacuum the living room. All right. Well, if the do vacuuming the living room means I want you to move furniture and make sure corners are swept out and you get up on the walls and you get the baseboards and whatever, and you don't do any of that, there's judgment attached to that. And if you've had that happen to you, then you learn next time to do all that in avoidance, but it becomes not what you enjoy to do. You do it to avoid being in trouble, and that's got a completely different energy to it. And then what do? You start to take control of it because you don't want to get yelled at. I have a new friend who had a very narcissistic mother, very angry, very controlling, very judgmental. And she was always the scapegoat. So she learned exactly what she needed to do to try to avoid getting the anger and the judgment from her mother. And no matter what she did, she got it anyway. And so you learn you can never do anything right. and choose one of two things. And this is the fight flight. I'm going to fight to do it right every single time to try to avoid judgment, or I'm going to run from it and do none of it right. I don't care. And that's the path my husband took. My husband took the rebel, I don't care path. You don't like me. You're not going to like me no matter what I do. I'm just going to do stuff that I want to do. You're not going to like me one way or the other. So why not do it this way? I might as well enjoy life. But many women, especially oldest children, uh, go the other way and go deeply into trying to win satisfaction and praise.
People pleasing.
People pleasing.
Yep, I'm grade A people pleaser.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
To the point,
recovering though.
yes, I have, yeah. I'm almost recovered. I'm like, no, you don't, sorry about your luck. Like, this is who I am,
I
right?
keep telling my children I have zero F's left to give.
Yes. Right? Give a damn is
My
busted,
older children.
right? Yeah, they hear it anyway, whether we like it or not. Um, so yeah, we have to be careful as women and parents and spouses and partners and employees and business owners to be careful to be very clear about instructions and expectations, and then also give some grace and be careful about not coming back with harsh judgment, because it will teach people to either fight you or run from you.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, my children, my older boys, they had the chance to see me before I had some sense in my head. My girls, my boys always kind of joke that my girls have it easy, but they know that I've changed as much as I have. But
Right.
they said anytime they hear me raise my voice, they want to like start vacuuming the ceiling or something like just something completely odd, mopping the ceiling just so they can look busy because
Yes.
they feel like they're going to get in trouble. So
Uh-huh.
I agree with you. If you come back with harsh judgment all the time, oh, you didn't do that right, or you never do anything, or then it comes back as, oh, well, either they're going to do whatever they can to try to please you, or they're going to just shut down and say, hmm. I'm in that kind of transitional phase into the I don't give a what you think at this point, you
Right.
know. So but it's a lot of deprogramming from religious dogma and even from just societal conditioning of how you're supposed to behave as a female.
Hmm. You triggered a thing for me that it still pops up every once in a while, but we were we were raised not to be lazy. If you have time, be doing something.
Yeah.
Which helped me in my work environment to a point, but it also means that in my personal life, rest was not an option. And I still sometimes, like, my husband works out of town at the moment. So, I work all day long. Like, I have hit our business, my business, and other projects that I'm working on. So I'm active all day long. But there are days when I don't have a whole lot going on. Like I had a spa day a few weeks ago, unintentional, but I got my hair done, I had a massage, and I had a facial all in the same day, right? And my husband's like, "Oh, must be nice." And I'm thinking, "Yeah." And I work the 14-hour days on a regular basis to get all of this stuff done. I love what I do, so it's not a complaint, but I'm not going to feel guilty because I took a few hours to take care of myself.
Yeah, as you shouldn't.
Right. And I will find myself like if I'm taking a power nap on the couch and they're out running around or whatever, and then I will find myself like they'll text me, "We're on our way home." Now, I have to make a decision to stay on that couch again because the reaction is they're going to be I got to be doing something when they get here.
Yeah.
And to resist that urge and go, "Mm-mm, girl, you're staying right here on this couch because your body said rest and we are resting." So this is the message to women who feel guilty. And granted, there are situations where the partner slash spouse is aggressive about that. And so I'm not saying do something to put yourself in harm's way. I am saying that if you have a reasonably good marriage, relationship, partnership, where you can say to them, I put in 15 hours yesterday. Today, I've got a half an hour of extra time. I'm going to soak in the bathtub or I'm going to take a nap. And be completely unapologetic about that and work yourself into that space. And if you have to correct yourself, like I still have to do occasionally, like, oh, they're coming home. They're going to find me on the couch. They're going to find me watching a Hallmark Christmas movie. I don't care. Right? Because all of that, it helps all of us be healthier when mom's healthier. Because as I mentioned, we are amplification energy and we are the core of the house, the core of the family. And the healthier we can be, and the stronger we are, and the more confident, and the more boundary, and the more calm and peaceful and happy we are, the more the whole, you've heard that phrase of mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. It goes the other way too. If mama's happy, people, the household tends to be happy. It's just the nature of the female energy.
Yes.
And by the way, men have this energy as well. So I'm not saying it's just women, but men have been conditioned to live in anger, sadness, or I guess just anger and sadness. And
Mhm.
so when they don't operate in anger and they operate in the same core of peace and general happiness, the whole house is fantastic. Because I can tell you when my husband is angry, woo, girl. Like we all go, I'm out. We gonna leave you in your tornado. Not staying there. Um, and sometimes I stay in the tornado with him because I know that he needs to someone in that tornado to like pull him back out again. But sometimes he needs to tornado on his own. And then it'll spin out and then he can come in and we can have a conversation. But their tornado is not our tornado.
We have our own tornado.
We do at times. Yes. I had a tornado the other night. It was a rough one. Yeah. But I also it was that cracking open. Yeah. Just another layer cracked open. It was so good. I mean, not fun, but good.
Yeah.
When we're sobbing to the point of hiccuping and you can't catch your breath. That's some deep cracking open right there.
Yeah. It was necessary.
It was so necessary. Now I got room for more good stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And number three, finds softness uncomfortable.
Mm.
Affection, they freeze, they clench, pull away. Compliments feel wrong. This is this, oh girl, that dress looks so good on you. Oh yeah, I got it for $6 off the rack at Walmart. You've now dismissed the compliment because you don't feel it.
Mm.
And it starts with just say thank you.
Or, oh, this whole thing,
Right.
right? Or,
Yeah.
I don't think so. How often do we do that to ourselves?
Right. Oh, I don't really like the waistline on this one, but the color was okay, so and it was cheap. Yeah. No, girl. Own that shit. There are body images are real has been a real issue. That's why the weight loss industry is trillions of dollars, right? There are two wonderful curvy models who are unapologetically curvy. Ashley Graham is one. I came across another one the other day. I'll see if I remember her name. But these women are owning who they are and how they're built. It just is what it is, right? Um, and I love that. If you're terribly unhealthy, I encourage you to pursue health. If health, like in my case, if health gets you to this point and you're like, I'm pretty healthy, I'm moving pretty good. Could I lose a few pounds? Yeah, but I'm not going to do anything extreme or detrimental to my body to get there. So, this is who I am. I'm a real woman. I'm in my 50s. I don't know that I care anymore. So, I think there needs to be a softness and a kindness and a you look good, girl energy to ourselves and to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, what's the expression when you see a queen with her crown starting to tilt? You don't push it off, you tilt it back up, right? You help each other out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do need to be gentler and softer with ourselves. We do need to be willing to step into that embodiment of softness, just to, if for nothing else, just to make the world a little softer. Because, I mean, for heaven's sakes, couldn't we all use that? You know?
And we see it on, social media, those self-proclaimed keyboard warriors who feel the need to speak judgment and shame over people, as you mentioned in our a previous conversation. They are reflecting back to themselves their own judgment. Now, we don't see it that way. We take it personally, right? How dare you say that to me? I'm not da 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 da, and we fire back. Versus something that might be, a person's really struggling. I don't accept what they say as true. And maybe we send a kind word back.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to step in and defend somebody who feel so. I have seen where someone posts something and then somebody fires back at them and then they begin the justification process. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't actually think that way, or I don't, and they just dismiss their rather than standing in the authority that they of their statement and their personal sovereignty. And on occasion, like you said, I step in and I help that girl push that crown back up again and say to them, you don't justify your position at all. It's your truth. You didn't harm anybody by saying that. Who Whoever feels like they have need to make a comment, needs to look internally. No apologies.
Yeah.
And that we were talking about women's circle earlier, so important. So that we can text our girlfriends and go, I'm feeling like my crown's tilted. Can you help me?
Mm.
Um, this note was very personal. Raised under judgment, so compliments feel foreign and uncomfortable, but we deeply desire to get them. And because I wasn't raised with a whole lot of, not that my parents didn't compliment us, they complimented us for performance. Um, I found it very difficult not only to accept, but also to speak uplifting words. And I would literally burst into tears if I tried to say, Jessica, I really admire your how you take your intellect and you turn it into support and life and love and good things for the female community. I couldn't have said that 5 years ago. It would have welled up all of this emotion in me. But I intentionally practiced doing that. And I welled up through it all and came to the other side of it. And now I can say to my friends, I really appreciate this about you. I love that you do that. And I'm still emotional about it. But I realize it's my love language, words of
Mm.
affirmation.
Yeah, it's important to be able to celebrate the people that you care about. You know, I think that so often we women kind of feel isolated and alone, even within certain friend groups or, institutions, and we want to have that sense of community and that feeling that we're not all alone. And we sometimes are afraid to put ourselves out there, put ourselves on the line to see another sister through. But, I was watching something the other day. It was, I think it was a Miss Universe pageant in Thailand. And this guy that was supposed to be like the coordinator of it was just kind of just reaming some poor girl out, just verbally abusing her in front of all of the Miss Universe candidates. And she's trying to defend herself and he tells her to leave. So she leaves and without question, I believe it was Miss Mexico or Miss Venezuela or something. She's the one that was asked to leave. Immediately following behind her was Miss Iraq because she was like, nope, he talked to her like that. I'm done. You know what I mean? And other women started to walk out, and he was explaining to them, listen, if you walk out, you don't have a chance to compete. So the other women in there, they're agreeing that what he did was wrong, but he's just holding his ground, and they're pleading with him, like, please let them back in. Let's talk about this, But they all stood their ground, and ultimately they ended up, being able to have everyone compete. But it was just a moment of solidarity that needed to happen because that man was being a tyrant for no reason other than he had the power to abuse.
Right.
And sometimes we have to stand up in the face of power. And I feel like, especially in the last 5 years, we really saw a lot of women standing up, speaking truth to what was going on in the world. And there were a lot of women at the time, too, that were talking about where are these men that need to come and stand up with us? They need to come and back us up. They need to be protecting their families and demanding change and telling these officials, no, we're not going to do this way anymore because we're standing up for it. But instead, there was none of that in the communities. It was women leading the way all the way. And very, 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 very few. And we are so thankful for them. So, so very thankful for the men that did step up and did say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. This needs to stop. But a lot of them were too scared to do so. And it wasn't because they weren't masculine enough or something like that. It was because they too have been conditioned that there's some sort of authority over them and they don't have autonomy or sovereignty, which that whole entire teaching needs to end across the board, men and women. We are
Yes,
fully
right.
autonomous beings. We own our sovereignty, and that's the end of the discussion. We don't need to co-sign it to a government or another person or a job or anything else.
Mm-mm.
And we can choose to make our own sovereign decisions. And sometimes that means standing up and going against the things that are immoral, are harmful to other people, or are just disturbing your damn peace.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think we can see um so I call the boomer generation the compliant generation. So they were told to live to a certain standard. They were told to work until you retire. You go to Florida, you go to Arizona. You should live in this type of house, drive this kind of car, go to college, have this, like all of this compliance and be compliant to government and police and everything else. And what we got out of it was organizations, including the governmental entities, feeling like they could do anything they want.
We have an oligarchy now.
We have an oligarchy. We have organizations that behind the scenes, although we know about it, but not everybody does, right? So we have organizations behind the scenes writing legislation to benefit themselves or protect themselves, like the 1984 Vaccine Injury Act, or like the recent attempt to make all chemical companies shielded from liability for illness for all chemicals. What?
That's
I mean,
insane.
we'll never have health again if that's allowed to be go forward. I don't care how healthy you try to eat, we'll lose all of our health. Um, you have the American Association of Pediatrics trying to make a federal law that states cannot allow exemptions. But that's not even how the Constitution operates. The Constitution says states are sovereign over federal, and that federal is really only supposed to do three things, and they're far outside of their boundaries right now, even within families. The idea of putting the man at the head of the household and that everyone should be obedient to that has created an abuse of power structure. Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases. And so it has, the man can do anything he wants to his wife without impunity. For eons, she could be beaten by her husband 100 times. She could be killed by her husband, and no justice for that.
Mhm.
This era, this or starting with my generation, I think you're I think you're the next generation, right? Starting with my generation, the Gen Xers, where we started going, and then it's been amplified going forward. And so the idea that we don't have to look like our parents and we don't have to act like them and we can speak kindness and we can be ourselves, this age of Aquarius is fantastic because the energetics of what's coming forward is also being driven by the energetics of what's happening in the astrology, whether people are aware of it or not.
Oh yeah, it's inevitable. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, we're in the end times. No, we are in the end of a time and the beginning of a new time. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. Like you said, the age of Aquarius, we are in a new era in which we will get back to community. It's a guarantee. We will. It has to happen. And I think you're going to see that in the extreme. So you're going to see this continued totalitarian push towards 15-minute cities, digital IDs, all of that nonsense. And in response to that, you're going to continue to see more and more intentional communities popping up that have figured out how to be autonomous and are, learning how to be sovereign, essentially little like nation states. I mean, this has been happening for a long time already. There are already like random little nation states within the United States. People don't even know about this.
Right.
And, you can create this communal structure that operates differently than the way, traditional government works, but it
Mm-hmm.
still benefits everyone within the community. And
Yeah.
I think you're going to see so much of a rise of that, that ultimately they're going to take over and they're going to say, what? We're not buying from these companies anymore. We have our own ways to produce our own clothing, our own food, all of these
Mm-hmm.
things. And we don't need these companies anymore. And these companies are going to crumble. And I'm looking forward to it. I think we're already
Yeah.
seeing it. They are
I agree.
raising prices so much that people are just opting out,
Yeah.
which is the best thing they could do.
I think we had gotten to the point in prior to 2020 of too much option. Yeah, how many different styles of tennis shoes do we actually need? Like, honest to goodness. And so the idea that we have less choice and less option simplifies life, right? Um, and more people are staying in their homes longer, so we're not selling as many homes. More people are staying in their cars longer. We're keeping clothing longer, so less trends, less celebrity trends, etc. All of which I think is an excellent thing. Like I have this really basic burgundy shirt, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll wear it with a jean jacket, sometimes I wear it with a vest, sometimes I wear it with a scarf. It's still the same burgundy shirt.
Yeah.
I get 3 looks out of one t-shirt. So we have this opportunity to be creative within a much smaller structure and these storage units that are all over the place speak to the Saturnian age of collect things, but the Aquarian age is a much more creative, energetic force that says we want to honor beauty. And so I do think at some level the climate change initiative is it is a hijacking of what is a protect the environment initiative. And so if we get back to let's protect the environment, let's treat the environment well, these companies that are trying to fund their life survival through this carbon credits and other kinds of trash um become less influential, and then we get more of I'm going to create my own energy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I
Yeah.
think that we're already starting to see that. We're already starting to see more and more companies, and I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but Amazon is planning to lay off 600,000, 800,000, something in.
There's another reason for that. They're actually not going to lay them off. I know there's a secret. So the Teamsters Union announced they were going after the Amazon direct employees in their warehouses to unionize them. Now, Amazon, what they do with drivers and other kinds of things is they create these subsidiary companies and they kind of spin them. So they are Amazon, but they aren't like they're funded by
Mhm.
Amazon, but they stand alone.
Yeah.
The direct employees in the warehouses were the one group that were still Amazon. And so the Teamsters announced because the Teamsters have UPS and FedEx that they should also have all these Amazon workers. And so Amazon's like, ain't gonna happen. We're just gonna lay them off. Now, what they're gonna do is lay them off and rehire them under a company. That's what
Okay.
they'll do. Because Amazon can do some things with AI, but when it comes right down to it, you still have to have humans in the warehouse. And they already have implemented AI and automation and all kinds of other things, but they still have a glut of packages that are being shipped out. So that's the piece that most people don't know. I also think AI is going to be a bit of a boomerang in that people are going to. So there's two big problems with the AI implementation. Number one, I think people not knowing AI very well, and because it's brand new, or new to most people, think that they can change, eliminate all these jobs and have AI do them. And I think they're going to find very quickly there are elements of those jobs that require human intervention. And also, and this happened recently, the AI bots and agents that they're putting in are ways for companies to get in and take over. What organization was just taken over because of a mostly AI hack? And I'm trying to remember what it was. But it was very little human intervention, mostly an AI hack. And what it did was they found a way in through one of the AI agents that the company had put in place, like on their website. They
Mhm.
found a way to hack in through that. And then they gave themselves clearances and they went out into, get all this stuff. I don't remember which one. I'll have to
Wow.
see if I can find it. But um, Robert Herjavec, who's one of the sharks, was talking about it. That one of the big things with AI is we're not putting in security and governance and oversight.
Mhm.
And that's the place where humans need to move into. So people are concerned about losing their jobs, learn about security, oversight, and governance and auditing, because that can't be done. That has to have human intervention. So, ooh, we got off topic again, didn't we?
A little bit.
We may have to split off this piece and put it as a separate post. Um, well, good. I think for women who are hearing this, the place to come in is through the Firelight Alchemy Circle.
Mhm.
The engagement there can be started by yourself, but when you bump up against something that you can't see and you just intuitively know that it's time to get a guide, reach out to myself or Jessica, and we'll help you decide who's the right person to work with,
Yeah.
because that's what we're here for.
Mhm. Here to
All
help
right.
you.
And this awakening won't get easy until you work with somebody and learn, and then it does get easy. Um, Easier, I should say. Because when you get cracked open and you're sobbing at 9:30 at night to the point of hiccuping after someone has been doing this for 15 years, I'm not new and it still got me. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yep,
It's an ongoing journey. It
it
never
really is.
it's the mystic spiral. It's that continued process of growth and evolution, just like a plant popping through the dirt and growing big and strong. It's no different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
We're
yeah,
here to help you though.
yeah, we are. That's what we're here for. All right. Awesome conversation as always.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks. Talk to you soon.